What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So it's a little late in the month, but I'm going to go over what I keep in my September surf bag. So for the external gear, I use a rock hopper surf belt. I'm going to probably upgrade that to a better belt that's a little, gives a little more support. But I use a large gear up surf casting bag. I use a Pacific Salt spider cone knife. I use Danco pliers. They're really not great, but I just keep buying them for whatever reason. Now let's go see what I have inside the bag. So September is a huge month for pelagics. You can catch Spanish mackerel, albies, and bonito, and some more from the Long Island surf. So I keep a ton of epoxy jigs, metal jigs, tins, and diamond jigs on me. I'm going to go over those right now. So in modern days, you can't talk about pelagic fishing without talking about epoxy jigs. So I keep a variety of Hoagie epoxy jigs. These are probably my favorite and best producing out of all the epoxy jig brands. I keep, some really smaller sizes up to like the medium size and even the bigger ones. Like I caught a Spanish mackerel, a couple weeks ago on, it was a small Spanish mackerel, but he took this huge Hoagie bone colored jig. Also the Joe Bags ones are good. They're a little denser, they cast a little further. I just don't always get the same like hit ratios on the Joe Bags as I do on the Hoagies, but they do have a better casting and better, quicker sinking abilities. Also old school style, you need to have like your tins. The best by far, the Deadly Dicks. I keep usually two sizes of these. This size 2 I believe is like kind of my go-to, but this sometimes you need that extra weight, casting distance, and sinking ability. Also I usually keep more of these. I don't have them on me at the moment, but just your like regular, these are just like painted lead jigs. These are like really underrated, but they just, in some ways they really outperform like even just like the Deadly Dicks, but really like the epoxy jigs. They just cast so much further than the epoxy jigs. They sink so much faster than the epoxy jigs. Like for a jig this size, like this Hoagie epoxy, you can get a lead jig that's this size that weighs just as much of it, casts just as far as it. And in some ways, like these don't do as well, like if they're banging up against the rocks, the paint will chip off and they'll be ruined very quickly, unlike the epoxies, although they can crack too. But definitely keep a few just like painted lead jigs. They do really well to just throw into the mix there. So they're very underrated, but I highly recommend getting a few of these in all different sizes. This is a pretty big one. And then diamond jigs too. I usually use smaller ones if I'm targeting pelagics, but I've had days where I'm catching albies non-stop on 827 size, really big diamond jigs. Very important to have too. So this is just the lineup. Pelagics are very picky. Sometimes they want one thing, not the other, so you just got to have a wide array of things to throw at them. So this is just a good lineup of what I keep. Sometimes I'll add a few more things to them, but that's basically what I keep in my bag in September for pelagics. And you always got to keep a weighted treble hook on hand. Now this is my lineup for night fishing in September. So for the ocean surf, I keep a yellow Super Strike darter. That's just a key lure that just can catch sometimes when nothing else can, as well as a yellow needlefish. Something about the yellow in the South Shore ocean surf at night, they're just killer. They don't work at all during the day, but that's just really good at night. Also, this is great, my favorite one for the North Shore at night, when targeting bass and bluefish, the Blurple SP Minnow. Can't beat that, in those North Shore back bay settings. And then for some daytime swimming plugs, SP Minnows are pretty much by far my favorite. I use either the 5 1/8 inch, I believe, or the 6 inch. Those are the two smallest sizes. I don't really like the bigger one, but yeah, I like the bunker color is great, the bone color is great, and the sardine color is great. And then I also keep a hydro minnow on hand. This swims a little shallower and has a tighter wobble than the SP Minnow, so sometimes if you're fishing like a North Shore back bay where it's like really shallow, if you're not at like really high tide, you can work this in a condition where you cannot work these. But anyway, these are by far my best swimming plugs that I like to use. As you can see, I've used them a lot, but I'm definitely got to have these on hand. Now for soft plastics, I mainly use them on the North Shore. I will use like larger white ones like this in South Shore inlets. I can do really well with bass on these, but mainly it's a North Shore lure. I like the 4-inch ones and the 5-inch ones. That's really just the range I use for the North Shore. I really like the Pearl Storm colored swim shads. It's made by Storm. Pearl is the color. These are in 5-inch. I really like them in 4-inch. I don't have any at the moment. This is a 4-inch, I believe, Berkeley swim shad. This white one does really well on the North Shore. And yes, the larger ones on the South Shore that sink well can, sometimes they do better than bucktails if you're fishing a South Shore inlet. But yeah, definitely got to have those on hand. Now in my September bag at the moment, I only have 2 topwater options. This is for the South Shore. I will use a Super Strike Little Neck Popper. And then also, actually, I'm blanking on the name of this one at the moment. I've had it in a few varieties. It's actually a great one. This one I primarily will use on the North Shore. So just 2 topwater options. You know, earlier in the morning, you're going to want to fish topwater. You can often get the bite when nothing else can. Now I keep a wide variety of bucktails in all different weights and different like colors. Everything down from, well, I think this is ½ ounce, but I keep everything from 3/8 ounce all the way up to 3 ounce. So you got to have all different types of bucktails for all different types of situations, North Shore, South Shore, and it's definitely an important lure when fishing, you know, the fall run, which is beginning here in September. Now here's a leader wallet. Inside I keep pre-made leaders, everywhere from 15-pound fluorocarbon leaders all the way up to 80-pound fluorocarbon leaders. And then a few, you know, different like just tackle items just to have on hand. Yeah, I used to carry just the rings of fluorocarbon with me, and I would make the leaders in the field. This is way more efficient, just to have them done, you know, while you're not out there, especially if you're in a low light setting. You do not want to be tying leaders. So definitely a must-have. All right, so yeah, that was a lot of rambling, but yeah, this is my September surf bag. The fall run is just beginning. Lots of options here in the fall. You know, from striped bass, bluefish, then the pelagics, and yeah, it's winding up to be a really good season. So we'll see what happens. This is some of the gear I have. I just thought I would share it with you guys. I'll post links to as much of it as I can in the description below, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.